about something called Blue Monday. And this morning we are joined by Stacia Hanson. She is the Regional Clinic Director with ThriveWorks in West Hartford. Stacia is a licensed professional counselor who specializes in coping skills, self-esteem, anxiety, and depression. So we definitely need you here. Stacia, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. And tell us, first of all, what is Blue Monday?
So, Blue Monday is this title that started about a decade ago. It's just really to signify somebody then found that this is the saddest day of the year. But in general, I feel like January is one of the months that people struggle the most with depression. Coming off of the holiday season, there's just so much excitement, busyness, you're spending time with family, friends, and sometimes it's a hard time for people too. And the weather's colder, the sun is out less. So there's a lot of people struggling around this time of the year.
Yeah, and do you have any advice for them? Like you said, the holidays were probably very difficult for them. Now the holidays are over and they're trying to get through this transition period. What can they do right now?
Yeah, well, so it really helps, if if this is something you struggle with yearly, you can kind of have a toolbox ready. That can involve like spending time with friends or family. It can be taking a hot bath. It can be going for a walk, even if it's a little cold on, put on that warm gear. But just making that space for yourself, making that space to kind of fill up your own bucket. Because I think, when we're getting back to the day-to-day of work and getting back in our routine, it can be hard to make that space for yourself. So making sure you set aside that specific time.
And I don't know if you are seeing or hearing from people, especially now, has there been an uptick in calls during this time of year?
Yeah, so this is actually one of the highest, January, we get a lot of calls. It's one of our highest call volume months, I think. And it just shows, people are really looking for support and they really want to be talking to somebody. And I think it's important to do it sooner rather than later. We call the doctor when we're sick. So I think it's important. I think sometimes people are afraid to call for their mental health too, but it's so important to get that help when you need it, and talk to somebody who's there to listen and who has the training to help you kind of build that toolbox so you know what to do on your own too.
Yeah, and in terms of when it comes to knowing when to make that call, are there certain factors that come into play, or can you really just call any time you feel like you need some help?
I always say it's never too early to call. There's definitely some symptoms to watch out for, like if you're struggling to leave your house, if you don't want to get up in the morning, if you're having trouble going to work, you have less energy than normal. Those are definitely signs to watch out for. But I say it's better sooner rather than later, because then you can fill that toolbox up that I'm talking about. They can help you figure out what works for you, whether it's getting a little exercise every day, spending time with friends or family, or just getting out in the sun and figuring out what works for you. But seek out that help sooner rather than later, for sure.
Yeah, never feel bad about doing so. Stacia, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Fox 61 Morning News. Have a great day.